Am I the asshole for divorcing my wife after I overheard her calling me pathetic and too weak to leave her at a party? Hey, before we move on to the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thanks. My name's Ethan, and until recently, I would have told you I was a happily married man. Not just married, but the kind of guy who got lucky, at least. That's how I saw it. I'd married Rachel, a woman who turned heads when she entered a room, someone I genuinely thought was way out of my league. We met through a mutual friend, and when she actually said yes to going out with me, I felt like I'd won something I didn't deserve. I've never been flashy. I'm the quiet guy at the back of the room, the one who double-checks his texts before sending them, who never raises his voice even when he should. I work in IT, I enjoy simple things, and I've always found it hard to be the center of attention. Rachel was the opposite, confident, sharp-tongued, assertive in ways I envied. At first, I thought that balance worked. She brought me out of my shell, and I grounded her. Or so I believed. We got married after 10 months of dating. I didn't see the point in waiting. When you know, you know. I bent over backwards planning the perfect proposal, got her the exact ring she'd described offhand during a brunch with her friends. She cried when I asked. Later, I would wonder if that was joy or just surprise. Looking back, there were red flags, but I didn't see them as that. At the time, I told myself they were quirks. Rachel had a way of talking to me like I was a slow child when we disagreed. Ethan, honey, think about it logically, she'd say, tilting her head, like I was a student failing a test she was grading. Once, in front of her friends, I made a joke about one of her reality shows, and she responded with, "You don't really get irony, do you, babe?" with that sharp little smile. They laughed. I laughed too, though it felt more like swallowing something bitter. She never shouted. She didn't throw things. She didn't call me names, not outright. But it was the constant stream of small, slicing remarks. When I cooked dinner, she'd say, "Wow, this is actually edible." When I fixed something around the house, it was, "Did you YouTube that first?" If I tried to express frustration, she'd roll her eyes and say, "You're so sensitive sometimes, Ethan." It's exhausting. Still, I loved her. I really did. I thought if I kept showing up, kept supporting her, kept choosing her every day, it would eventually wear down whatever wall she had up. I figured maybe she just wasn't used to someone who treated her well. Maybe she'd had bad relationships before and didn't know how to accept genuine care. That was my theory. It let me keep believing that things were fine, or at least salvageable. The thing is, Rachel was different in public. Around our friends or her colleagues, she played the role of the perfect wife, linking her arm through mine, laughing at my jokes. When she wanted to, bragging about the dinners I made or how sweet I was to help with chores. People told me all the time, "Man, you two are great together." And I believed it, because I wanted to. There was this one night about 3 months into our marriage. I'd been out late fixing a tech issue for one of my coworkers. When I got home, Rachel was on the phone with one of her friends. She didn't hear me come in, and I caught the tail end of her sentence. "He's just so clingy sometimes." Like, I get that he loves me, but it's a bit much. When I walked in, she smiled and kissed me on the cheek like nothing had happened. I told myself I'd misheard. She never told me she loved me first. I don't think she ever said it after the wedding, now that I really think about it. But I said it every day, and she always replied with a quiet MMHM or "you too." That should have been enough for me to see things clearly, but when you're desperate to keep something alive, even a dying flicker looks like fire. What hurts most is how much I let slide. I excused so much. I let myself believe that her passive-aggressive comments were just her sense of humor, that her public indifference was just a personality thing, that I was being too emotional, too dramatic, too needy, her word, when I asked for more affection or appreciation. I told myself this was just the early phase of marriage and that she'd warm up eventually. What I didn't know, what I couldn't admit to myself, was that Rachel didn't love me. Not in the way a person should love someone they've promised their life to. She liked what I did for her. She liked how I made her look. But love? No. Love doesn't sound the way it did the night I really heard her speak about me. And once I heard what she truly thought of me, I knew. There was no going back. Not to that marriage. Not to her. Not to the version of myself who thought that love meant accepting being belittled in silence. But that part of the story's coming next. And when I say it changed everything, I mean everything. It was a Saturday night, and one of Rachel's friends, Monica, was throwing a birthday party for her husband. It was a bit more upscale than the usual backyard grill type of thing. Catered food, fancy drinks, couples dressed in business casual like they were trying to impress someone they'd just met. Rachel, of course, looked stunning. She always did. Her hair was perfect, her makeup sharp but elegant, and the red dress she wore got more than a few looks from other men there. I felt lucky just standing next to her. She was buzzing with excitement the whole drive there. "Just try not to talk about your work stuff too much," she said, fixing my collar before we walked in. "You know how you get when you're nervous." I nodded. I didn't say much after that. The house was packed with her friends, people she knew from college or yoga or work. I recognized maybe 4 faces. I mostly stood by the drinks table, made polite conversation when people asked me what I did, nodded along to stories about people I barely knew. Rachel flitted from group to group like she was gliding across a stage. Every now and then, she'd come up to me, brush my arm, smile like we were newlyweds on a magazine cover. But the second she turned away, it felt like I disappeared again. At some point, I stepped away to use the bathroom. On the way back, I passed the kitchen. The door was slightly ajar, and I heard her voice before I even realized it was her. She was laughing, that big, loud laugh she usually reserved for when she was mocking something. "Oh God, you guys, you should see him when he's trying to be romantic," she said. I stopped. "He does this thing where he lights a candle and plays this awful soft rock, like we're in some bad 90s movie. He'll sit there with this serious face, trying to set the mood. It's honestly tragic. I have to bite my cheek not to laugh." Someone giggled. Another voice, I think it was her friend Paige, said, "But he's sweet though. He seems like a really nice guy." Rachel's voice turned sharper. "He is. Painfully nice. Like, houseplant nice. You don't even need to do anything, and it just sits there, trying to please you. It's exhausting." They all laughed. It was light, like a bunch of teenagers gossiping. I should have walked away, but I stood there, frozen. Oh, and in bed, you guys. I swear, I could literally give him a compliment for breathing, and he'd act like I gave him the best night of his life. It's like he's just grateful I let him touch me. Someone, I think it was Monica, said, "Rachel." "I'm serious," Rachel said through laughter. I could lay there like a corpse and he'd still thank me. I fake it every single time. He'd probably cry if he knew. The words hit like blunt force trauma. But she wasn't done. "And he's so insecure, like, I could cheat on him, and I bet he'd blame himself. Hell, I think he thinks I'm out of his league. And you know what? He's not wrong." That got more laughter. Not from everyone. One of the guys muttered something like, "That's messed up," but no one said anything else. I stood there for another few seconds. I wasn't breathing. I don't even know if I blinked. My heart was thudding so loud it felt like it might punch through my chest. And the worst part? She sounded happy. Like she was proud of what she was saying. Like this was her moment to finally get the applause she thought she deserved for tolerating me. I turned and walked away, carefully, like someone leaving a crime scene. I didn't want her to see me. I didn't want her to know that I'd heard. Not yet. I needed time. I needed control. Because if I reacted right then and there, I didn't know what I'd say, or if I'd ever be able to come back from it. When I rejoined the party, I smiled. I even made a joke with one of the other husbands. Rachel came over a few minutes later and kissed my cheek. "There's my handsome man," she said sweetly, her arms slipping around mine. "Having fun?" "Yeah," I said. "Actually, yeah. This is a good night." She looked pleased. She had no idea. The rest of the night was a blur. We stayed for another hour. I made small talk, laughed where appropriate, even helped Monica carry some things to the kitchen. Rachel never once suspected that anything was wrong. On the drive home, she complained about Monica's new haircut and said the wine was too acidic. I stared out the window, hands loose on the steering wheel, the echo of her voice still playing in my head like a broken record. "He's like a houseplant. I fake it every time. He'd probably cry if he knew." I didn't cry. Not that night. Not once I got home. Not even as I lay in bed beside her while she scrolled through Instagram, occasionally showing me memes she thought were funny. I just lay there, quiet, eyes on the ceiling, a single thought forming crystal clear in my mind. I'm leaving her. Not today. Not tomorrow. But it's over. I'm done. She didn't know it yet. But everything changed the moment I heard her say out loud what she really thought of me. That was the night I stopped being her houseplant. That was the night I stopped loving her. The days that followed felt like I was moving through 2 different realities, the one Rachel lived in, and the one I was quietly building behind the curtain. Outwardly, nothing had changed. I still made breakfast in the morning, kissed her on the cheek before work, asked how her day was. She still threw jabs here and there, but she had no idea how little they landed anymore. Whatever part of me that used to flinch when she insulted me or tried to embarrass me had gone completely numb. Inside, though, I was methodically rearranging the pieces of my life. I spent late nights reading about divorce law, Googling attorneys, quietly gathering documents. I opened a separate checking account and started moving small amounts of money into it. Nothing large enough to raise suspicion, just enough to give me space. The more I prepared, the more the fog in my head lifted. I started thinking back on all the moments I had misinterpreted. All the times I convinced myself her disrespect was love in disguise. Like when she once told me, I could do better, you know. But I chose you because you're safe. I had taken that as a compliment. Or when she'd laugh and say, you're lucky I put up with you. And I'd smile and say, I know. I didn't know. Not then. I didn't talk to anyone about what I'd heard at the party. I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want anyone to try to explain her words away or make me question what I knew in my bones. She didn't love me. She never had. Not the way I had loved her. What she wanted was a mirror, not a partner. Someone to reflect back her importance, her beauty, her superiority. And I had played the role perfectly, until the mask slipped. I met with a lawyer a few weeks later, a soft-spoken woman named Hannah. I told her everything from Rachel's cruelty to what I overheard. She didn't react, didn't flinch, just nodded slowly and said, you're not the first man to sit in that chair thinking he's crazy for wanting to leave someone who tears him down piece by piece. That sentence alone made me feel more seen than I had in months. The legal side was surprisingly clean. No kids, no shared property outside the apartment, and I had proof that most of our finances were separate already. Hannah helped me draft the initial papers and coached me on how to serve them properly. She asked if I wanted to tell Rachel in person. I didn't. I couldn't trust myself not to let her talk me out of it. Manipulation disguised as emotion was her specialty. 2 weeks later, I served her the papers through a courier while she was at her office. She came home that night furious. What the actual hell is this? She said, holding the envelope like it was covered in filth. I stayed calm. I had prepared for this. I had gone over it 100 times in my head. It's exactly what it looks like, I said. She scoffed. You're joking. I'm not. Her expression shifted from disbelief to confusion to panic. Ethan, what's going on? Is this about me not doing the dishes or something? Are you seriously pulling this dramatic crap over nothing? It's not about dishes, I said quietly. And it's not nothing. She stared at me, scanning my face for something weakness, maybe. A crack she could slip into and pry apart. You're not serious. You're not actually going through with this. You love me. I did, I said. I did love you. But I don't anymore. There was a pause. For the first time in our relationship, I watched her struggle for words. Is this because I don't coddle you? She snapped finally. Because I don't baby you like some insecure little man? This is because I heard you, I said. Her eyes narrowed. Heard me? At Monica's party. You were in the kitchen, talking about how pathetic I am. How you fake everything. How I'd probably cry if you cheated on me. Her face drained of color. For a second, she looked stunned. Then her defenses kicked in. Oh my God, Ethan. You were eavesdropping? Are you actually insane? No, I said. I just happened to hear the truth. That wasn't even serious, she said quickly. I was just venting. It was a joke. You know how we talk when we're just messing around? No, I said firmly. You don't joke about people you love like that. Not unless you mean it. And you meant it. Every word. She was pacing now, hands on her hips, her voice rising. You're really going to throw away our marriage because of one overheard conversation? I'm not throwing anything away, I said. You did that a long time ago. I just finally caught up. For once, she didn't have a comeback. She left that night to stay at a friend's place. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. At least not then. Her pride wouldn't allow it. But I knew it was coming. Because Rachel liked control. She liked security. And losing me, losing the one person who never challenged her power, meant losing both. In the days that followed, she sent a few short texts. No apologies. Just confusion. You're overreacting. You're not thinking clearly. This is beneath you. Come on, Ethan. Let's talk. I didn't respond. I had nothing left to say. The man she described at that party, weak, desperate, spineless, that man was dead. She killed him with her laughter. And for the first time in our entire marriage, I finally felt free. About 3 weeks after Rachel moved out, I heard from one of her friends, Monica, the same woman who'd hosted the party. She called me out of the blue one evening while I was organizing some papers in the kitchen. At first, I thought it was a pocket dial, but then I heard her clear her throat. "Hey, Ethan, you got a minute?" I hadn't expected to hear from anyone in that circle again, especially not her. I paused, unsure how much she knew or whose side she was on. "Sure," I said cautiously. "What's up?" She sighed. "Look, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened. That night, I was there. I should have said something. I didn't say anything. I just waited." She continued. "Rachel's not doing great. I know that probably doesn't mean much to you right now, but I thought you should know. She's staying with Paige temporarily, but Paige's husband hates having her there. They've been fighting constantly." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Monica hesitated. "I guess part of me thinks you deserve to know that you weren't crazy. That leaving was the right call. And I think she knows it too now. I didn't want to hear about Rachel's misery. Not because I felt bad, but because I didn't care. Not in the way I once would have. Still, I appreciated Monica saying something, even if it was late." "She said anything to you?" I asked finally. "Just that she didn't realize how good she had it," Monica said. "She's trying to act like it's not a big deal, but it is. She's unraveling. She's dating again, or trying to, but it's not going well. She's used to being adored, and most guys aren't like you." There it was. The thing that struck me most. Most guys aren't like you. It was meant to be a compliment, but all it did was remind me how far I had let myself go to accommodate someone who only ever wanted a doormat. After we hung up, I sat with that thought. Rachel was learning, the hard way, that the version of me she mocked wasn't pathetic. I was patient, loyal, forgiving, kind, and she had ground those traits into the floor like they were weaknesses. That same week, Rachel started texting again. This time, it wasn't cold or mocking. It was desperate. "I miss you. Please talk to me. I know I messed up. I wasn't kind to you. I didn't appreciate you. Can we just talk once? Just once, Ethan. Please." I ignored the first few. But on a Saturday morning, she sent a longer message. Paragraphs. Apologizing. Rambling. Making excuses. Trying to explain her humor and how she didn't mean any of it. She wrote that being without me made her realize how safe she had felt and how hard it was to go through life alone now. She said she wanted another chance. That she could change. That she would change. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I turned the phone off and went for a walk. She didn't stop. Over the next few days, she called, texted, emailed. She even left a voicemail crying, saying she couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, that she made the biggest mistake of her life. And maybe she did, but it wasn't my job to fix that for her anymore. A week later, she showed up at my door. She looked like a different person, thinner, paler, dressed in sweats, makeup smudged under her eyes like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't even knock at first, just stood there, staring at the doorbell camera until I opened it. "Please," she said, the moment I stepped outside. "Can I come in?" I didn't move. "Why?" "I need to talk to you." "I've been trying to. I got your messages," I said, cutting her off. "I read every one." Her eyes filled with tears immediately. "Then you know I'm sorry." "I am, Ethan. I was stupid. I was cruel. I thought I was being funny, I thought. I don't know what I thought. I guess I didn't think you'd ever leave. And that's on me. But please, just talk to me." "I'm not okay." I let her talk. I didn't interrupt. She went on for 5, maybe 10 minutes, stumbling through half-hearted explanations and clumsy apologies. She said she'd been in a bad place, that she didn't realize how much she depended on me emotionally, that without me, everything felt off, that I had made her feel safe in ways she didn't understand until they were gone. "I didn't mean what I said at that party," she whispered finally, voice cracking. "I was just showing off, trying to make people laugh. I didn't mean it. You have to believe me." I looked at her for a long time, really looked at her, and I realized I didn't feel the ache I thought I would. No anger, no sadness, just silence. An empty space where something used to live. "You're right about one thing," I said finally. "You didn't think I'd ever leave. But you were wrong. Ethan, I'm not coming back." "Rachel," I said, my voice steady. "Not now. Not ever." She started to cry. I didn't reach for her. Didn't move. I let her cry. I let her feel every bit of it. Because I'd felt it too, for months, maybe longer, in silence, while she laughed with her friends about how pathetic I was. "You should go," I said quietly. There's nothing left here for you. She didn't argue. She just stood there for a moment longer, broken and shaking, then turned and walked away. I closed the door, and this time, I locked it behind me. It's been 8 months since the divorce was finalized. I live alone now, in a smaller apartment across town. It's not fancy, but it's mine. Quiet. Peaceful. The kind of place where no one rolls their eyes when I speak. I've picked up a few new habits. Cooking for myself without worrying whether someone will mock the seasoning, going on long walks with no one waiting to criticize how I spend my time. I haven't heard from Rachel in a few months. Monica told me she tried living with a guy she met online, but it didn't last long. Apparently, he wasn't as tolerant as I was. She's working again, staying busy, trying to pretend her life didn't fall apart when I left it. I don't hate her. I just don't think about her anymore. And when I do, it's only to remind myself how far I've come. For the first time in a long time, I don't feel small, or spineless, or pathetic. I feel free. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.